The chipped mug warmed my hands as I stared out the kitchen window. Rain lashed against the glass, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. It had been weeks of subtle shifts, whispers of doubt that had slowly, insidiously taken root. Lenard, my wife, had always been vibrant, full of life, a whirlwind of energy that swept me along in its wake. But lately that energy had been different, distant, focused elsewhere. I'm Bastian, 46, and I work as a software engineer. Before all this, I considered myself a lucky man. Lenard and I had been married for 18 years. We lived in a comfortable house in Seattle, Washington. Our life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and I cherished it. We had built it together, brick by brick, through good times and bad, or so I thought. The first sign, the initial crack in the facade, was the phone. Lenard had always been open with her devices, leaving her phone lying around, no password to hide. But then came the hushed calls, the screen turning face down when I entered the room, the nervous laughter that stopped abruptly when I got close. She started taking her phone into the bathroom with her, a place she previously considered a tech-free sanctuary. One evening I walked into the kitchen, and she slammed her laptop shut with a speed that was almost comical. "Just looking at recipes," she stammered, her cheeks flushed. "Recipes." Lenard, who considered boiling water a culinary achievement. Then there were the late nights at the office. Lenard worked as a marketing manager for a local advertising agency. Long hours were part of the job, but these felt different, more frequent, more deliberate. I'd ask about her day, and she'd give vague, dismissive answers. "Just busy," she'd say, her eyes flitting away from mine. "Big campaign launching." I tried to dismiss my growing unease. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe I was just tired. Marriage had its ups and downs, right? Every couple went through rough patches, but the feeling persisted, a gnawing anxiety that wouldn't let me rest. I found myself watching her, analyzing her every move, searching for clues in her expressions, her tone of voice. It was exhausting, and it was driving us further apart. One Saturday morning, Lenard told me she had to go into the office for a few hours. "A client emergency," she explained. I offered to make her breakfast, but she declined, saying she didn't have time. She kissed me quickly on the cheek, a perfunctory gesture that felt colder than the Seattle rain. As she walked out the door, I felt a wave of despair wash over me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. After she left, I tried to distract myself. I worked on a personal coding project, something I'd been putting off for weeks, but my mind kept drifting back to Lenard. The phone calls, the late nights, the evasive answers. I couldn't ignore it any longer. The doubt had solidified into a certainty. Something was happening, and I needed to know what. I knew it was wrong, a violation of her privacy, but I couldn't stop myself. I went into our bedroom and opened her laptop. It was password protected, something else that was new. I tried a few obvious passwords, our anniversary, our dog's name, but nothing worked. Then on a whim, I tried her mother's maiden name. And it opened. The browser history was the first thing I checked. It was mostly work-related stuff, marketing articles, industry news. But then I saw it, a dating site. affairalert.com. My stomach lurched. I clicked on it, my hands shaking. The site opened to Lenard's profile. There was a picture of her, smiling seductively, her eyes sparkling with a light I hadn't seen in years. Her profile described her as married but looking for excitement. My heart felt like it was being ripped from my chest. I scrolled through her messages, my eyes scanning the screen, searching for answers, for explanations. What I found was worse than I could have imagined. She had been having an affair for months, with someone named Gareth. The messages were explicit, filled with lust and longing. They talked about meeting up, about stolen moments, about their secret world. Gareth. The name echoed in my head. Who was Gareth? I scrolled further back in the messages, searching for clues. And then I found it, an email address. I recognized it instantly. Gareth was Gareth Miller, a junior colleague at Lenard's office, a man I had met several times at company events, a man who had always been polite, respectful, a snake in the grass. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. I felt dizzy, nauseous. My world, my carefully constructed reality, shattered into a million pieces. The woman I loved, the woman I had shared my life with, had been lying to me, deceiving me, betraying me in the most intimate way possible. I closed the laptop, my hands trembling. I needed to get out of the house. I needed to breathe. I stumbled outside into the rain and started walking. I walked for hours, not knowing where I was going, just needing to escape the suffocating weight of my grief and anger. I ended up at a bar, a dimly lit, anonymous place where I could be alone with my thoughts. I ordered a whiskey neat and downed it in one gulp. It burned going down, but it didn't ease the pain. I ordered another one and another one until the edges of my reality started to blur. I thought about Lenard, about our life together, about the promises we had made, the vows we had exchanged. How could she do this to me? How could she throw away everything we had built? Was our marriage a lie? Had she ever loved me? The questions swirled in my head, unanswered, unanswerable. I felt a rage building inside me, a burning desire for revenge. I wanted to hurt her, to make her feel the pain she had inflicted on me, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. It wouldn't undo what she had done. It wouldn't bring back the woman I had lost. As the night wore on, my anger began to subside, replaced by a profound sadness. I realized that I couldn't save our marriage. It was broken, irreparably damaged. The trust was gone, and without trust, there was nothing left. I knew what I had to do. I had to end it. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a heavy heart. The events of the previous day felt like a nightmare, but I knew they were real. I went home and waited for Lenard to return. She walked in the door around noon, looking tired and stressed. "Hey," she said, forcing a smile. "Long day, we need to talk," I said, my voice flat. She looked at me, her eyes narrowing. "About what?" "About Gareth," I said. Her face paled. She knew. "Bastian, I know everything, Lenard," I interrupted. "I saw the messages. I know about the affair." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I am so sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean for this to happen." "Could you?" I asked, my voice trembling. "How could you do this to me, to us?" "I don't know," she sobbed. "I was unhappy. I felt like we were drifting apart. I needed something more." I repeated, incredulous. "What more could you possibly want?" "I gave you everything. It wasn't enough," she said, her voice barely audible. "I needed excitement, adventure, so you cheated on me," I said, the words laced with bitterness. "That's your solution, to betray me, to lie to me, to destroy our marriage." She didn't answer. She couldn't, because she knew I was right. "I want a divorce," I said, the words feeling like lead in my mouth. She looked at me, her eyes wide with shock. "No," she pleaded. "Please, Bastian, don't do this. I can change. I can make things right." "Too late, Lenard," I said, my voice cold. "The trust is gone. I can't forgive you. I can't forget what you've done." She started to cry, begging me to reconsider, but my mind was made up. I couldn't stay with her. I couldn't live with the constant reminder of her betrayal. I told her to leave. I told her I needed space. She refused, insisting that we could work things out. But I was firm. I told her I was filing for divorce and that I wanted her out of the house by the end of the week. She finally left, slamming the door behind her. I stood there alone in our house, the silence deafening. Our house. It didn't feel like our house anymore. It felt like a tomb, a monument to a dead marriage. The next few weeks were a blur. I hired a lawyer, filed for divorce, and started the process of dividing our assets. Lenard tried to contact me, to apologize, to plead for another chance, but I refused to speak to her. I couldn't bear to hear her voice, to see her face. I learned that Gareth had left his wife as well, presumably to be with Lenard. I felt a strange sense of satisfaction knowing that their affair had caused so much pain and disruption. But it didn't make me feel any better. It didn't erase the hurt. It didn't fill the void in my heart. As the divorce proceedings dragged on, I started to rebuild my life. I focused on my work, throwing myself into my projects. I started exercising again, going to the gym every day to relieve stress and clear my head. I reconnected with old friends, people I had neglected during my marriage. I even started dating, hesitantly, cautiously, unsure if I could ever trust another woman again. One evening, a few months after the divorce was finalized, I received a phone call from an unknown number. I hesitated before answering it. "Hello," I said. "Bastian," a woman's voice said. "It's Maya, Gareth's wife." I was surprised. I hadn't spoken to Maya since the affair had come to light. "Maya," I said. "How are you?" "Not great," she said, her voice strained. "I need to talk to you. Can we meet?" I agreed, and we arranged to meet at a coffee shop the following day. The next day I found Maya sitting at a table, looking pale and drawn. She had lost weight and her eyes were red-rimmed. She looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. "Thank you for meeting me," she said. "Course," I said. "What's going on?" She took a deep breath. "Gareth left me," she said. "He's with Lenard." "No," I said. "I am sorry." "Worse than that," she said, her voice trembling. "He's abusive." I was shocked. "Abusive? What do you mean?" "He's controlling, manipulative," she said. "He yells at me, he puts me down, he's even hit me a few times." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Gareth, the smooth-talking, charming colleague, was an abuser. "I'm so sorry, Maya," I said. "Why didn't you say something sooner?" "I was ashamed," she said. "I didn't want anyone to know. I thought I could handle it, but it's getting worse. I'm afraid of him." "You need to get out of there," I said. "You need to leave him." "No," she said, "but I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have any money. He's taken everything." I thought for a moment. "You can stay with me," I said. "I have a spare room. You can stay there until you get back on your feet." She looked at me, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Are you sure?" she said. "I don't want to impose." "No problem," I said. "I want to help you. You don't deserve this." Maya moved in with me the following week. She was a broken woman, traumatized by her experience with Gareth. I did my best to support her, to listen to her, to help her heal. As the weeks turned into months, Maya started to recover. She found a job, started therapy, and began to rebuild her life. She was strong, resilient, and determined to overcome her past. One evening, we were sitting in my living room, talking about our experiences. "I don't know what I would have done without you, Bastian," she said. "You saved me, you saved yourself, Maya," I said. "I just gave you a place to start." She smiled. "Maybe," she said, "but I'll always be grateful." We sat in silence for a moment, each lost in our own thoughts. Then Maya turned to me and said, "Bastian, I think I'm falling in love with you." I was taken aback. I hadn't expected that. I cared deeply for Maya, but I wasn't sure if I was ready for another relationship. I was still healing from my divorce, still struggling with the pain of Lenard's betrayal. "Maya," I said, "I care about you too, but I don't know if I am ready for a relationship. I need more time." She nodded, understanding. "I know," she said. "I just wanted you to know how I felt." We left it at that. We continued to live together as friends, as companions. But the possibility of something more lingered in the air. One day I received a letter in the mail. It was from Lenard. I hesitated before opening it. I hadn't heard from her in months. I didn't know what she wanted. I opened the letter and started to read. She wrote about how sorry she was for what she had done, how she regretted her affair, how she missed me. She said that Gareth had turned out to be a terrible person, that he had been abusive and controlling. She said that she had left him and was now living alone, miserable and alone. She asked if there was any chance we could get back together, if we could start over. If we could forgive each other. I laughed, a bitter, hollow laugh. After everything she had done, after all the pain she had caused, she wanted me back. She wanted to erase the past and pretend that nothing had happened. I crumpled up the letter and threw it in the trash. There was no going back. I had moved on. I had found a new life, a new love. I went to find Maya. She was in the kitchen cooking dinner. I walked up to her and wrapped my arms around her. "Maya," I said, "I am ready." Turned to me, her eyes filled with happiness. "Ready for what?" she asked. "Ready for us," I said. "Ready for a relationship, ready for love." She smiled and kissed me. It was a sweet, tender kiss full of promise. It was the beginning of a new chapter in my life. A chapter filled with hope, with healing, with love. Lenard's betrayal had been the most painful experience of my life. It had shattered my world, destroyed my trust, and left me feeling lost and alone. But it had also taught me valuable lessons. It had taught me about the importance of honesty, of communication, of forgiveness. And it had led me to Maya, a woman who had shown me that love could be found even in the darkest of times. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I am not afraid. I have Maya by my side, and together we can face anything. We can build a new life, a new love, a new future. And that's all that matters. The rain outside had stopped. The clouds had parted, revealing a sliver of blue sky. A rainbow arched across the horizon, a symbol of hope, of renewal, of new beginnings. I smiled. The storm had passed, and I had survived.